Hey, you're listening to The Good Pod Guide with me, Lauren Windle. I'm going to give you the lowdown on some of the biggest podcasts, as well as some hidden gems, to help you find your next great listen. There are certain things in life that you really ought to know by now, or you feel like you ought to know by now. And today's podcast does feature one of those for me, but it's kind of like you get to a certain point and you hear the phrase or the word so much that you know you should already know the ins and outs of that, so you just never ask. It's like in the office when you know you should know someone's name, but you've full on had a drink with them and a chat in the lift and worked together with them on a project, so it's too late now to ask. I feel like that with Watergate. I use the phrase something gate all the time to talk about a conflict of some sort, like Kit Kat gate, if my niece and nephew fight over a Kit Kat, etc., etc. But I actually don't know what Watergate is. And that is why this podcast, My History Can Beat Up Your Politics, was so informative for me. My History Can Beat Up Your Politics is a podcast that uses history to shed light on the political issues. It's been around since 2006, so it's really stood the test of time. It follows a very basic format where the presenter just literally talks through his research on a political topic, and that could be something like the power to pardon. And he makes an effort not to be really biased, and his research is pretty on point. It's hosted by former local broadcaster Bruce Carlson from New Jersey, and a lot of the politics they're talking about is American. So if American history and politics aren't your thing, then switch off. You don't need this. Possibly not surprising, given that we're coming out of our own pandemic. The most popular episode is the Spanish flu of 1918 and its aftermath. And that is a conversation with the host and a science journalist called Laura Spinney. And they go into whether or not we've learned the lessons from the past, and they look at sort of what happened during that pandemic. Also, the fact that I learned about Watergate was genuinely informative for me. There are literally loads of episodes on Watergate. So I was grateful for that. I also like the episode on pardons, which I've already mentioned. And there are just quite a few sort of quite interesting facts. Like, did you know that there's been a dramatic decline in the number of pardons as we've moved into the 20th century? And that Franklin Roosevelt issued 3,687 in his 4 terms in office. So there you go. There are more than 240 episodes, and they can go from 15 minutes to an hour 45. So there's a really big range. It strikes a good balance between being informative and entertaining. And the fact that some of them are so short means that you don't feel like it's too massive a time investment. I do think it feels a little bit like a lesson at times. So there's no sparkle or spirit fingers. But on the plus side, I do now know what Watergate. In the next episode, I indulge my inner fangirl as we talk about the podcast, The Office Deep Dive. That is Office US rather than UK, although I am a huge fan of both. For more info on the Good Pod Guide, check out the show notes. Also, if you've enjoyed what you've heard, subscribe, and leave a positive review. We would really appreciate it.